They embarrassed me over $100 at Christmas dinner. I'll never forget it. The silver knives clattered against the porcelain plates, a quick, rhythmic sound that normally came as my perfect, but slightly claustrophobic childhood Christmas soundtrack. This year, my life erupted into the sound of shattering. My name is Jesse. I was seated at the top of a long mahogany table, beside my husband, John. My mother, Jessica, had made sure every aspect of the dinner was perfect, from the cranberry glaze to the suffocatingly bright string of fairy lights. We had reached the post-dinner coffee stage, thick with fumes of brandy and forced merriment, when my father, Charles, cleared his throat, a sound as if autumn leaves were crunching underfoot. "Jesse," Charles added, his voice lowering an octave to carry over the drone of conversation. He waved a crisp, folded sheet of paper, that kind of bank statement older people print out just so they can feel the weight of evidence. My stomach dropped. I knew immediately what this was about. "This month we noticed an unusually strange transaction," he went on, his glasses slipping down his nose. "Withdrawal $100, labeled at first Christmas contingency. Yet there is no purchase on the receipts. Unless, that is, you count miscellaneous cash as a gift to the family." The table went silent. 20 pairs of eyes, most of them belonging to cousins and aunts who had always felt I fell somewhat short as a human being, stared at me. Jessica leaned in, her smile stiffly held but brittle. "Sweetheart, we just want to clarify. You understand the importance of being transparent when it comes to financial matters, particularly around the holidays when things are at their tightest." The implication hung there unspoken. I, the professional writer, will have secretly gone and spent $100 on some ridiculous thing, maybe a fancy pair of earrings or an unnecessary lunch. It was not about the sum, it was about airing public distrust. I could feel my face turning red. John, ordinarily my stalwart companion, stared hard at his coffee cup, whisking the tepid liquid with an intensity not commensurate with the task. He didn't speak. He didn't meet my eyes. His silence had been the deepest cut of all. "I'm sure it wasn't, Father," I said, my voice a mere breath. "It was necessary." "Necessary for what exactly?" "But it's hard to ask." Charles pushed, his crusty orneriness informing me that my need was childhood sulking. "You wouldn't have been able to go to John about this necessity?" "Let it be, Charles," John at last muttered, but the defense was too feeble, too late. Jessica cut him off. "No, John. We have got to fix this habit. We can't have Jesse raiding the common pot for personal whims, especially now we're trying to help you and Simon even out your mortgage." The laughter rippled around the table, subdued but undeniable. They were cackling over a Benjamin, laughing at my broke ass and lack of discipline. The shame was a weight that bore down on me, squeezing the air from my lungs. I jumped up, sending the antique chair tumbling backwards. "I need air," I gasped, then fled the room, the stifling judgment of this new atmosphere. I walked back and forth in the guest bedroom upstairs, which used to be my room. John came in a moment after and eased the door closed. "Why didn't you say anything?" I bellowed, tears rolling down my cheeks. "They shredded me, John. Over $100. If you could have just had my back." "I could not, Jesse," he muttered, dropping upon the bed and covering his face with his hands. "They know too much." I froze. "Know what?" "The $100 wasn't for me, John. It was a partial bank transfer charge. A deposit. I know what it was for." He spoke heavily, muffled with guilt. The mystery surrounding the dinner had frozen over. The $100 was not about a cost to him. It was about an investigation. And 2 weeks previously I had observed very suspicious-looking discrepancies in our savings, the average of which exceeded $10. John had been distant, secretive. I had spent that $100 to hire a private investigator after discovering a cryptic message on his laptop offering discreet services. My hands trembled as I fished my phone from my purse and poked through the hour's worth of emails on it. I brought up the most recent report from the PI, delivered just hours before dinner. The subject line was blunt: "Findings regarding 44 Maple Street." I thrust the phone at John. I took the money because you weren't telling me the truth about the house. Is this why they were so happy to shame me? To stop me from digging? John watched, his face going pale as he read the PI's dispassionate evaluation of our financial disaster. The report confirmed my worst suspicions. He hadn't just run up a big loan on the house. He had stealthily defaulted on the debt months ago because of a hidden gambling addiction. But the real tragedy came in the final sentence of the report, when we saw who had co-signed on that second fateful loan. It wasn't a bank. It was my father, Charles. Charles had not been shaming me over some $100 worth of frivolous spending. It was $100, and he had been shaming me about it, the final straw that let loose the lie behind his enormous range of long-held secrets. He and Jessica, the second I mentioned in my previous post, knew the house was being foreclosed on in January, and they had orchestrated the public humiliation to cut me off from others and hoped that, ashamed, I would scurry away only instead. They knew we were losing the house, I muttered, the understanding of just how far they had gone, turning the loss from financial to profoundly personal, and let us still stand there and be embarrassed over $100, while they've signed away everything we own. The Christmas cheer out there upstairs was like a faint, mocking echo. The $100 wasn't the debt. It was just the key that opened up my family's monstrous lie. The tragedy was not the loss of the money, but that my own blood, my husband, my parents, had thought little enough of me to actively conspire to humiliate me and steal my future just to cover their pants-shitting failure. I stared at John, laying across the bed in a heap, and knew the embarrassment of Christmas dinner would pass, but the scar of their strategic betrayal would shape the cold, void silence that was to become my home. The mystery was solved, but the price was everything.